Good evening, everyone. I'm Toshi Shreya, Student Manager of Balaji Institute of International Business. It's my proud privilege to introduce Mr. Ravindra Mishra, Head Human Capital at Garwade Wall Ropes Limited. Sir is an AMTech Power Apparatus and Systems Electrical Engineer from Indian Institute of Technology, Mumbai. Sir, rich corporate experience encompasses successful leadership profiles in multinational companies. Sir has been Vice President, Head, Corporate Human Resources, Metex Fertilizer and Chemical Limited, Head, HR, Global Manufacturing Business, Suzlon Energy Limited, Corporate HR, Tata Power Company, Manager, Construction and Maintenance, Power Cables, Distribution Division, Tata Power Company. His skills and expertise cover a wide area of human resource domain, ranging from business to employee engagement, HR policies, performance management, talent acquisition, sourcing, MIS, and recruiting to personnel management. Sir is passionate about leadership development and is an avid reader of management subjects. Sir has also been awarded with Star Awardee in Suzlon Energy Limited in 2007. Sir, the podium is all yours. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's okay. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for this humbling introduction. I think there can't be any better way to begin with. Thank you so much, Professor Balasubramaniam and Dr. Inamdar and all the professors who are the faculty members over here in the Balaji Institute, and of course the students. Happy to be here. So I think as per my understanding, all of you must have heard a lot about human resources and many other things, okay? So let me talk something totally different subject, and I'm sure which would be quite interesting to each one of you. So that's the subject, what we call it, our Indian economy, where we stand with respect to global situation, and what exactly the imperatives are to the youth and to the young students like you, what exactly country is going to offer to you when you move out from this kind of institutes after completing your education, what exactly you could look for. So I think the way I have structured my entire talk is for about 30 minutes I would be talking. I have a small film from my colleague on excellence, how exactly what excellence means, how exactly we are supposed to be excelling in our own different fields, no matter what we do, but we must excel. Okay, certain basic principles of excel. Even my previous guest speaker over here was also talking about some of those things with respect to discipline, integrity, and all those kind of aspects. It's very important for us to excel in whichever field we are. Some ground rules for excel, okay, let me mention to you. First of all, we must enjoy what we do. Very easy to say, very easy to talk, and I am sure all of you must have heard these kind of things quite often, that we must enjoy what you do. But how do we make out that what we exactly we enjoy? How do we know? How do we know? It's not that easy. It may sound so easy that it's very easy for me to know what I enjoy doing, but it's really not that easy. You have to dig deep in your iceberg model, all those kind of motives and your beliefs and your value systems you may know, and then you have to get the answer. You have to answer to yourself that what exactly you enjoy from deep within, and in a long-term sustainable basis, not just on the basis of short-term objectives. Now, the moment you dig deep, you get answer for yourself, and then you know what kind of subjects, what kind of discipline you are enjoying, what kind of jobs you are enjoying. Nowadays, ample opportunities are there. Before coming to this particular auditorium, I was just chatting for a brief conversation with Dr. Inamdar, and the point was that why is so high attrition? Why do young people change job almost every 2 years and 3 years? That's the reality. That's the reality of the lives. So much opportunity is available. People perhaps would like to enjoy it, would like to test different kind of things. Then they will figure out what exactly they enjoy, what exactly is the suitable career for them, and then they will decide. So nothing wrong. The only point is that as per management principles to the youth, what the message I would give, that any career, whatever you do, if you do for a period of about 3 years, I think that's good enough. And I think that's the period, that's the time horizon as per psychology, as per lot of research with respect to talent and potential, because I am sure all of you would understand what exactly is the potential and capability, and the capability needs experience to get converted into the competence. If it has to become a competency, then that potential needs solid exposure, solid grooming, solid experience. And that can happen only if you do something what you enjoy and do it well, at least for the period of 3 years, you will become competent in that particular role, that particular job, what you are doing, for at least for the period of 3 years. And then move on, whatever you think. If you get certain better roles, maybe you are growing vertically, you are growing horizontally in your current organizations, you continue enjoying doing what you do. There is no really need to change the jobs. That's not the objective. That's not what organizations are meant for. They would like to take good care, believe me, they would like to take good care of their good people. Now, only point is that it's a very subjective debate. Who are the good people? How to make out who are the good talent, who are really the competent people. But every organization would like to invest lot of time, energy, efforts into developing people so that they can be successful and they can do much more. So Ravi, I think I will request you to run that film. It's possible, we can do that. Maybe you may need some help from some tech people over here. And then let me continue with my hot topic, and that is about the economy. glass of water at least. Yeah. Thanks, Ravi, for sharing this wonderful video with everyone. Okay. So on.
Like it? Thank you.
Fine. So let me come to the harder subject, which is most important. Okay. All of you would know that business starts with finance, business starts with money. So money is the starting point, that's the seed capital, and that is where business starts. And believe me, whenever any business or any business house or business group collapses, it's also for the money reasons. It's all the time reasons related to finance subjects. So no matter what discipline, what specialization, what subjects, what topics we study, we go through in our career, finance remains most integral part or most important part of any business, any job or any role what we have to play. So very solid financial understanding for any business manager, for any business leader is most important. So coming exactly that how it would help us. So I'm sure all of you would know that where India stands. Okay, so in terms of GDP, as far as global economy is concerned, I think all of you would know that global economy as of now is in the range of about $60 trillion. Okay, as you would know, $60 trillion means 60,000 billion dollars. Okay, if you have to calculate in rupees crores, it's 60,000 multiplied by 5,000 crores will come to $60 trillion. Now, where does India stand with respect to this? As far as we are concerned, our country is concerned, for which we are proud of, it is close to 1.8 or close to 2, you can say, $2 trillion out of 60. It means we are close to 2.8, 2.9% of the global economy in terms of GDP. Okay. As I move on, I will take you through what exactly these numbers mean to you youth. Otherwise, all these numbers, I am sure, you can just do Google search and you can get all these numbers what I am sharing with you. But I think numbers are not that important. The important is what message I want to pass on to each one of you. How exactly, what do we do with this? Okay. Another important thing, as I think most of you would know, that 200 years back, Indian economy used to be 25% of the global economy. That is where we were 200 years back. Now at this juncture, we are close to 2.5, 2.8, 3% we could say. That is where we stand. So how exactly is the global trend? As far as USA is concerned, USA as a country alone is close to 25% of the global economy. So 1/4 pie of that global economy goes to that country. Remaining 1/4, that is another 25%, is towards those top 6 or top 8 countries, what we quite often call G6 or G12 in European economy, including Germany, Italy and some other countries. Okay, that's another 25%. And the balance 50% is all over the world, rest of the world. So that is where we stand. Now, if that's the situation which is happening with respect to global economy, then it's very important, let me bring in another perspective with respect to age, with respect to people. Okay, as all of you would know that as per 2011 census of our country, population census, our population stands close to 123 crores. With respect to that, the important point which we have to know is that our median age of our country is close to 26. Now that means that 50% of the population of 123 crore, that is 61 crore, is having age less than 25. So you can imagine the kind of youth population, young workforce, young people who we have, and the balanced 62 crore is above 25, 26 years of age. Whereas if we talk about median age of several developed economies, like USA itself is close to 37, 38 years. If we talk about China, it's close to 34 years. That's how situation is. Now, what exactly this age with respect to economy means, okay? I will take you through that particular perspective also, so that you don't get lost into these numbers. You are able to understand what exactly the message I am wanting to convey. As far as per capita income is concerned, our country took 20 years to move from $250 per capita income to 500. We took from 1983 to 2003, 20 years to move from $250 to $500. Whereas from $500, next double has happened just in 5 years. We have taken just 5 years, that means from 2003 to 2008, from $500 to $1,000. That's how the economy of the country is moving. That's how the per capita income is moving, and you can see how the country is changing in many sectors, many industrial sectors, and the way growth is happening. Okay, we didn't have a double-digit kind of GDP growth, but certainly we had close to that. Even now also, I think I heard some people talking that our economy is not doing very well or something like that. Okay, I think people like Mr. Subbarao, who is RBI governor, and many other people. Okay, even few days back, Montek Singh Ahluwalia, who is the deputy chairman of Planning Commission. All these people are talking that we will certainly be close to 6.5 or certainly 6%, somewhere around that. Okay, so that's where it is. Now, from 2008 to 2012, from $1,000, we have moved, as on today, as per the data of August 2012, our per capita income stands at $1,600 as of now. So that's the kind of growth happening in the country. So another important thing, let me mention to you the future projections as well, how exactly things are poised for our good growth and good future, for which each one of you is going to be part of that. Okay? In next 12 years or 13 years, means by 2025, our per capita income would be close to $10,000. So you can imagine, in next 12 years, the per capita income of the country is going to be 4 times in 12 years. It means certainly it's going to double every 3 years or something like that, every 3 to 4 years. Now, if that kind of situation is happening, then what exactly it means? Another important information, let me share, that when Kapil Sibal took over about a year back, the HRD ministry, his most important address in some institute was that only 12% of our eligible population for higher education is able to really go through that higher education. It means after 12th standards, if that particular population at the age bracket of say 15 to 20, they are supposed to be going for certain graduation programs or something, only 12% of those population, that particular population, is able to go through. Now what does this mean? This means that we have a huge population, but they are not skilled. They are not well educated, they are not well qualified. So this is the burden which puts to us. So most important imperative what I meant to each one of you is that learn things very well, excel in the fields what you are working, whatever you are doing, whatever you enjoy doing, keep doing, but excel in that particular area, and try to educate, try to inspire certain people in the society around you, wherever you can influence, that they also get into the higher education, and that's only going to be the critical success factor for the future of the country. Our economy will keep growing, but whether every individual, whether our per capita income is growing, that's all fine. But then you have to keep in mind the inflation, the way it is going through. So it means if country has to succeed in future, in after 5 years, 10 years, and it has to sustain that success, and it has to become a superpower economy as people are projecting by 2050, it means our level of education has to be much more rigorous, much more serious, much more qualitative. Okay? Believe me, in my career of last 25 years, I have traveled to different part of the world, mainly to Europe and America, and of course to countries like China. And I can say the kind of practical experience in those countries people will possess at the age of 20 or at the age of 25 is far, far superior. I'm not talking certain exceptions or 1% or 2% of the people, so it's not, but generally that's the situation. What do they do? So even after 10th, 12th or something like that, graduation, they will keep doing some work, they will keep learning certain practical aspects. Because theory, whatever theory we learn, whatever concepts we learn, whatever approach we understand, that's important, that's necessary. We must remember that's necessary, but that's not going to be sufficient alone, because that's a totally just knowledge. The most important thing for success in career and success in industry is going to be how exactly you apply that knowledge. Now it's the question, moot question, which we have to ask ourselves, that how much of our knowledge which we study in our academic curriculum and different places, we exactly apply when we move out of institutes and when we are at the workplace. So I think that's the important point which we have to remember. And then if we have to gather, if we have to garner the practical experience of the industry, the jobs, what all we have to do, then of course I think that's the motivation, that's the killer instinct, that's the fire in the belly, that has to be there, that no matter what, I will learn practical things. Okay? Even if you read biography of J.R.D. Tata, okay, I work in Tata's for 20 years, so I'm certainly having several examples to share. Okay? Even if I have to talk about Ratan Tata, when he returned to India after completing his education and he was working in Tata Steel. Of course, he started few years with Nelco, but prior to that, somewhere in 65, 66, 68, those years, when he started, he was working in Tata Steel in Jamshedpur for a few years, just to gather the practical experience. If you ask me, a person like him, there was no need for him to work. He could have very well acquired certain positions of certain directors or certain managing directors or something like that, okay? But then that's the value of starting work and then being with people and then to understand those practical nuances, what exactly work mean, how people work, what exactly the difficulty they face, what are their needs, how exactly things are happening. So I think that's very important, okay? Even I can share one nice example about 1.5 years back when I met our former chairman, Mr. Ramesh Garware, okay, in one of my few hours long engrossing conversation. He mentioned to me that before mastering over others, you must learn how you can be mastered by others. So learn to do the things first before you can really occupy those higher positions and you can get done the work. So I think the challenges and the things what going to be for the youth is towards the hard work, commitment and dedication towards learning, towards improving in yourself, in your respective field, in whichever you opt for, whichever you choose for, whatever you enjoy. Work very hard. Okay, and the way things are going to change, the way knowledge is changing, every 3 to 4 years, the way things are happening are changing totally. So we have to continuously upgrade, no matter what our age is, continuously upgrade with the latest knowledge, latest information, latest technology, be abreast with the current situation, keep developing ourselves, see to it how exactly that particular knowledge, what all we learn from here and there can be applied at our workplace. So we keep improving ourselves, we keep nurturing ourselves. Ultimately, our own development, even in the organization, organizations will provide the platform, they will provide some foundation, they will provide some opportunity to everybody. But ultimately, the ownership of development of every individual is unto themselves. Nothing is impossible. Okay, it sounds very nice slogan, but if we dig deep and try to practically answer to ourselves that what exactly it is, then I think simply it means that if we have to excel in our field, in our own respective field, I think the best example is that short video which we played over here. And that's how things are going to happen. So we have to keep improving in our skills. And for skills, knowledge is going to be the prerequisite, and that's what going to be the future success of the country. And that's how each one of us can be proud, can be partner in the journey of that future success of the country. And imagine, for that matter, that we are in 2012, how will our country look like in 2025 or 2050, and we will be part of that, and we will be proud to say that how exactly things are happening. So ultimately it's the hard work, it's the commitment, those basic values which are quite natural to us. Even if we look into our old different type of grants, different type of philosophical things, different aspects, I think the roots and the values are very basic. And if we follow those things, naturally, I think we will be a better citizen, better future for ourselves, and of course we will have better future for the country as well. So I think that's the message to summarize over here to each one of you, and wishing you good luck from my side.